Well, we left off in Afghanistan, and we should have been out of there years ago. And I've had a sign on my front yard for the last 7 years that we should be the hell out of there. Should have never went in, but we ended up in there, and then from there we decided, well, uh, between the Israelis and us, decided that Saddam Hussein was a big problem in Iraq, even though we had been using him as a counterbalance to Iran, who are the people we really distrust the most in the Middle East. So we decide that we want an excuse to go in. Well, the Dick Cheney, Rumsfeld, Gonzalez, and Bush all decided that we needed a decent excuse to go in to Iraq and take out Saddam Hussein. And one of the things they used was they claimed that he had weapons of mass destruction. And the person they used for this information was a person that was sought as an international criminal by the government of Jordan, involved in a massive bank fraud. And this is the man that we decide we're going to put all of our power behind, and we're going to allow him to dictate what our policy should be along with the Israelis. So they they argue that Saddam is trying to produce a nuclear weapon, and that he is hunting. It was out hunting for uh, uranium in Nigeria, and the CIA sent a man that was familiar with both Africa and with the type of uranium that was being sought off to investigate it. And when he come back, he said that there is no case for Saddam having a nuclear power program, and he is not seeking to make a nuclear bomb, and he is not getting this, uh, even trying to purchase this material in Africa to secure the uranium needed for such a bomb. So what does the Bush administration do? In order to try to discredit this, they out a lady called Valerie Plame, and she was an active CIA agent, and she had done tremendous amount of undercover work, and she was a representative of a company that was a total fraud, but was a front for the CIA. Now, by exposing her, and it happened that she was in charge of this program, that she sent her husband, who had worked for the CIA and had worked on this type of case before, in to do the investigation. So they exposed her, and had any other person had besides Karl Rove and the guy that took the heat for it, Scooter Liddy, and had any other person, uh, but Vice President Dick Cheney, who outed these people through Robert Novak, who was a right-wing columnist. Had anyone else done this, they would have been prosecuted for treason for outing an active CIA agent. And they said, "Oh well, she's back in Washington," but that's not the point. The point is that all the other agents that were working for this same company that was a front for the CIA, all of them were exposed, and we don't know how many of them might have been killed and how many of their contacts were lost, just so the president and the vice president could save face and argue for a case to get us involved in the war in Iraq. Well, we found there were no weapons of mass destruction, but he again passes the Patriot Act, and anything that says Patriot on it, you know, we're in big deep shit, because they smear themselves in the flag and hide under terms like Patriot. Um, so there was no case to go, but that didn't stop Bush and Halliburton, who made tens of billions of dollars off of this war, to go in and secure what we thought we were going to. Bush claimed we were going to be part of OPEC. He knew we'd never be a part of OPEC, and even now the the administration in Iraq is so upset with us that they have signed very few agreements with American oil companies. Almost all the oil companies they're signed agreements with are either Russian, or they or Great Britain. Um, so we who were to become part of OPEC, and we who were going to be paid for this war ended up paying with the blood of thousands of Americans, displaced 2 million Iraqis, killed hundred, more than 100,000 innocent Iraqis. And now what do we have? Nothing. We have total chaos. And who do we have this to thank for? Often the Israeli lobby and the neocons. So that one must be very careful all the time of listening to anyone that's trying to dump us into some war, and check what their motives are. And the motive of this gentleman that lied about the weapons of mass destruction was to come to power in Iraq after Saddam was toppled, and that's where he is today. So I want to show you a little thing that when I started first protesting wars was back in the early 60s against the Vietnam War. And one of the points I was making, and this was a point that was made only at the University of Miami, not at Harvard or Stanford or Berkeley, all these supposedly hotbeds of revolution. Uh, this was made by, I felt that the teaching of ROTC on the campus at the University of Miami was totally unjustified. I didn't mind that they were there, but they should never have been given academic credits because the professors never had academic freedom. And so I undertook a poll, which I'm afraid someday I'll show you my FBI file, which got the attention of the FBI, and they followed me around while I was a graduate student at the University of Miami. But here's a couple of the headlines from that. What I did was I basically asked the students, and this is here's another point. This is how a press can try to turn a story around. Here it says on the headline here of this article that well, that 2,131 people favored ROTC. What they fail to tell you is, or they don't fail to, but they mention here is that, let's see, where is that? That 62% of the people were against granting credits to ROTC. The ROTC people, here's just headlines. The ROTC people, here's where I'm taking the thing, and Gadfly's poll, the ROTC, and ROTC briefing. I had a number of the question of should ROTC be allowed and so forth. It went on for a while, and all I was trying to do is say that there is no academic freedom in any ROTC class, that their dictates come from Washington, and if a person does not have academic freedom, they should have no part on a university campus, because that's the whole idea of granting tenure and granting and having academic freedom is that the professor is fully capable of saying anything that he wishes, and that he is protected through tenure and through academic freedom to do that. And that's the only way you can have an open university system. So I led many a demonstration against our ROTC. Let me see here. Here's one. here's a picture they put on the front page. That's me carrying my briefcase in front of the Air Force ROTC program at the time. But anyway, uh, that academic freedom is such an instilled part that no one that doesn't have it should be in a responsible position on a university campus. I want to thank you for your time, and uh, I realize probably nobody's with me still at this point, but for my regulars, I'm sorry I don't have any silver today, and I'm afraid I'm going to do more rants and less silver, because I only buy silver on the weekends and I rant all the time. Thanks again for your time.